Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to another story on our Boost My English channel. This is the place where stories come alive and every word takes you closer to better English. Today's story is very special. It's called The Last Warrior King, a beautiful tale filled with mystery, emotion, and timeless adventure. So before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel Boost My English, and don't forget to share this story with your friends who love powerful stories and want to grow their English skills. Now, sit back, take a deep breath, and let the journey of the last warrior king, let's begin. A long, long ago, there was a great kingdom called Ebonreach. This kingdom was rich, full of life, and protected by brave warriors. The people were happy. The rivers flowed like silver snakes, the mountains stood tall like old gods, and the forests whispered stories of magic and mystery. In the heart of Ebonreach, there lived a young prince named Lucian. He was strong, kind, and brave. Everyone called him the Lion of the East. Lucian was the only son of King Aldric, the ruler of Ebonreach, a king known for his wisdom and his sword. Lucian was trained since childhood in the arts of war. He knew how to ride a horse like the wind, how to fight 10 men at once, and how to use his heart before his sword. But Lucian was not proud. He always listened to the old, helped the poor, and loved his people more than his own life. But peace never lives forever. One day, dark clouds rose in the north. A cruel king named Malric the Black Wolf attacked the border villages. His army was huge, like a sea of fire. His soldiers destroyed homes, burned farms, and left nothing behind. King Aldric sent his best warriors, but they were no match for Malric's dark magic and deadly weapons. In the royal palace, Lucian stood beside his father. "Let me go, father," he said. "Let me fight for our people." King Aldric looked at his son with pain in his eyes. "You are brave, my son, but this war is different. Malric is not just a man, he is a shadow. He wants to burn the world." "I am not afraid," Lucian said, gripping his sword tightly. "If I die protecting my people, then let that be my fate." The king hugged his son tightly. It was a long, heavy silence. That night, the stars were hidden behind dark clouds. The wind cried like a lost child. And so began the Great War. Lucian led a small army into the north. He fought like a lion, his eyes full of fire. But Malric's army was everywhere. Lucian's men fell one by one. Arrows darkened the sky, swords clashed, and blood soaked the snow. Finally, Lucian stood face to face with Malric. The Dark King had cold red eyes and a cruel smile. "So this is the famous Lion of the East," he said. "You are brave, but brave hearts still bleed." They fought like thunder and storm. Lucian's sword sang with fire, but Malric used dark tricks. Shadows rose from the ground. Lucian fell to his knees. His sword was broken. His heart was heavy. Malric spared him. "Go back," he said. "Let your people see their prince broken. Let them lose hope." Ashamed and wounded, Lucian returned home. The gates of Ebonreach opened slowly. The people were silent. Children looked at him with wide, sad eyes. King Aldric was dead. The palace was cold and quiet. Lucian became the king, but inside he felt lost. He had failed. He had lost his father. His sword was broken. His kingdom was dying. And so began the journey of the last warrior king, a king with no army, no sword, and no hope, but a fire still burned inside him. Lucian swore on his father's grave, "I will not let Ebonreach fall. I will rise again, even if I walk alone." When the world was young, the gods gave 7 sacred weapons to protect peace. These weapons were called the Blades of Light. But time passed, kingdoms fell, and the blades were lost in dust and silence. Now, in the cold ruins of Ebonreach, King Lucian sat alone on his throne. His eyes were tired, his heart heavy. The kingdom was quiet, like a bird with broken wings. The people had lost hope. Crops did not grow. Children cried in hunger. The walls of the castle were cracked. But deep inside Lucian, something had changed. His pain had turned into purpose. He called his old teacher, Guru Master Eldrin, a wise man with white hair and eyes that saw beyond the present. Lucian spoke softly. "Master, I need strength, not just of the sword, but of the soul. Is there any way?" Guru Master Eldrin looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "Yes, my king. There is a way, but it is a path of fire and blood. You must find the Blades of Light. Only they can help you defeat Malric." Lucian stood. His voice was calm but strong. "Tell me where to begin." Master Eldrin opened an old map made of animal skin. He pointed to a mountain range far in the west. "The first blade lies in the Cave of Echoes, guarded by a spirit who tests your heart." Without waiting another day, Lucian prepared for the journey. He wore simple armor, carried a new sword made by the village blacksmith, and took only a small bag of food and water. His people watched him leave with tears in their eyes. Some whispered, "He walks to his death," but others said, "He walks to become a legend." The journey was long. Lucian walked through deep forests, crossed cold rivers, and climbed rocky hills. At night, he slept under the stars. He dreamed of his father. In the dreams, King Aldrich said, "Don't fight with anger, my son. Fight with love." After many days, Lucian reached the Cave of Echoes. The mouth of the cave was dark and wide like a giant's open mouth. A cold wind blew from inside. Lucian stepped in. It was quiet, too quiet. As he walked deeper, he heard whispers, his own voice, but twisted. "You failed your people. You let your father die. You are not a king." Lucian fell to his knees. His head ached, his heart beat fast. The cave was testing him. Suddenly, a figure appeared, made of smoke and shadow. It had Lucian's face, but the eyes were full of fear and hate. "Who are you?" Lucian asked. "I am your fear," the shadow replied. "You are not worthy of the blade." Lucian stood up. His voice was steady. "I am afraid. Yes. I feel pain. Yes. But I still choose to fight. Not because I am perfect, but because I must." The shadow screamed and turned into dust. Then, in the silence, a soft blue light began to glow from the wall. The first blade of light appeared, silver with a golden handle, light as air but strong as thunder. Lucian picked it up. He felt warmth in his hands. The sword hummed like a song. Outside the cave, the wind changed. The sky became clearer. Hope had taken its first breath again. But the road ahead was long. There were still 6 more blades, and Malric was growing stronger with each passing day. Lucian whispered to the wind, "This is only the beginning." The western lands were covered with golden sand. These lands were called the Burning Sands, where the sun never slept, and the ground cracked like old skin. No man could walk for long without losing his way or his mind. But King Lucian, now holder of the first blade of light, was not just any man. He was on a quest, not for glory, but for salvation. His people needed hope. His land needed a protector. With dust on his face and fire in his heart, Lucian crossed the desert on a camel given by a kind village chief. The camel was old, but loyal, and Lucian named him Veer. Every night, Lucian looked at the stars and remembered his father's voice. Every day, he followed the map given by Guru Master Eldrin. The second blade was said to be hidden in a temple beneath the sand, guarded by an ancient warrior spirit. But the desert had its own dangers. One morning, Lucian saw smoke in the sky. He rushed toward it and found a small desert town burning. Houses made of clay and cloth had turned to ash. Women cried, children hid. A group of raiders with red cloth on their faces had attacked. Lucian did not wait. With his sword in hand, he charged. The blade shone with a blue light and moved like a flash of lightning. In a few moments, 5 raiders lay on the sand, defeated. The rest ran away in fear, shouting, "The Lion King!" The ghost of Ebonreach. An old woman came to him and touched his hand. "Bless you, my king," she said with tears. "You are like the rain in the dry land." Lucian stayed the night in the village, helping to bury the dead and rebuild homes. The people offered him food and stories. One elder told him, "The temple you seek lies beneath the mirror dunes, where the sand sings and the sun dances." The next day, Lucian left with his blade and a promise in his heart. After 2 more days of travel, he reached the mirror dunes. The place was strange, silent, glowing, endless. And then he saw it. A single stone door standing in the middle of the desert, half buried in sand. He pushed it open and stepped inside. It was dark at first, but then torches lit up by themselves. Lucian walked down a long path. On the walls, carvings told the story of a warrior queen named Valesia. She was the keeper of the second blade and had made a vow. "Only the one who understands sacrifice may hold my sword." At the end of the path, Lucian entered a round room. In the center stood a statue of Queen Valesia, her sword raised to the sky. But suddenly the statue moved, and from it a spirit rose, glowing and tall, with fire in her eyes. "Who dares disturb my rest?" the spirit asked. "I am King Lucian of Ebonreach," he said. "I seek your blade to save my people." "You speak of saving others," the spirit said, "but are you willing to lose something yourself?" Then fire rose around them, and the room became a battlefield. The spirit attacked, and the fight began. Lucian dodged, blocked, and countered, but he could not strike her. Every time he tried, her image changed into someone he loved, his father, his people, even a young girl crying. "Will you strike what you love?" she asked. Lucian dropped his blade. He knelt and said, "No. I will protect, not destroy, even if I must fall." The spirit smiled. The fire disappeared. "You are ready," she said. From the floor rose a sword with a ruby in its hilt, the blade of sacrifice. It felt warm, like a hand holding his. Lucian bowed his head in respect and took the sword. As he stepped out of the temple, the wind greeted him. The desert felt less hot. The sky seemed more blue. Veer the camel waited patiently. But just as Lucian smiled, a shadow passed over the sun. In the distance, riding on black horses, came soldiers of Malric, his spies, his assassins. The enemy had found him. Lucian whispered, "Let them come." When kingdoms were built on blood and love, betrayal was the sharpest blade. And now, that same blade waited for King Lucian, hidden among faces of friends and enemies alike. The desert winds howled as Lucian faced the dark riders. They were called the Doom Crows, elite soldiers of King Malric. Dressed in black armor, they moved like shadows, fast and deadly. There were 10 of them. Lucian stood alone. But Lucian was not afraid. He held both blades of light, the sword of truth from the cave of echoes, and the sword of sacrifice from the burning sands. His feet stood firm on the hot sand, his eyes calm like a silent storm. The first arrow flew. Lucian turned, sliced it mid-air. Then they attacked together, like a black wave. Lucian moved like fire, his blades shining in the sun. One rider fell, then another. But they kept coming. Lucian's shoulder was cut, blood dripped down his arm. Just when things grew dark, a horn blew in the distance. A group of horsemen came rushing over the dunes. Their flag showed a golden falcon. Lucian smiled. They were the warriors of Greymoor, once allies of Ebonreach, and riding at the front was a tall woman with sharp eyes and silver armor, General Seraphine, Lucian's childhood friend, and once his sworn sister in arms. She and her men crashed into the Doomcrows like a thunderstorm. The battle was quick. The Black Riders were defeated. The sand was quiet again. Seraphine jumped down from her horse. "You really were going to fight all of them alone?" she said, half angry, half proud. "I've missed you, Seraphine," Lucian said. "So have I, King," she replied with a smirk. "Now stop trying to be a hero and let's win this war together." Back at their camp, they sat by a fire. Seraphine spoke of Greymoor, how her people had hidden after Malric's rise, waiting for the right time to fight back. "We heard you survived," she said, handing him a water skin, "and that you're gathering the old blades, so we came." Lucian nodded. "I'm glad, but there's more. I must tell you what Guru Master Eldrin said." As the fire crackled, he explained the mission, the 7 lost blades, the ancient power Malric was trying to awaken, and the need to rise before darkness consumed the world. But before sleep could take him, an old woman approached the fire. Her face was wrinkled, but her eyes sparkled with strange light. "I have walked a long way to find you, King," she said softly. Lucian stood. "Who are you?" "I am Elira," she said, "keeper of the Forgotten Flame, and once your mother's handmaid." Lucian froze. "My mother?" he asked. "She died when I was a child." Elira looked at him, tears in her eyes. "That's what you were told. But the truth is hidden in the hills of the east. Your mother was not just a queen. She was a guardian of an ancient power. She left to protect something that Malric now seeks." The fire grew quiet. Lucian's chest tightened. "Why was I never told?" "Because love hides pain, my king," Elira said. "Your father wanted to protect you from the burden, but now the time has come. You must go east. The 3rd blade lies near your mother's secret." Seraphine put her hand on Lucian's shoulder. "We'll go together." The next day, they set off again, now with warriors by their side and a deeper fire in Lucian's heart. He wasn't just fighting for a kingdom anymore. He was fighting for truth, for family, and for the memory of a mother he never truly knew. As they left the desert, a cold wind blew from the east. Trouble was waiting, and so was destiny. The eastern lands were silent. No birds sang, no wind moved, only tall trees stood like watchers of an ancient past. This was the forest of forgotten echoes, where even whispers turned into shadows and memories came alive. King Lucian rode slowly, his eyes scanning the misty woods. Behind him were General Seraphine and 20 loyal warriors. They had followed him through fire and sand. But now, something was different. This place felt alive, but not in a good way. Elira, the old handmaid of Lucian's mother, walked beside them. She said softly, "This forest remembers everything. It knows your fears. It sees your heart." As they entered deeper, the trees grew closer. The sky disappeared. Each step felt heavier. Suddenly, the air changed. Lucian saw a boy standing in the fog. The boy had bright eyes, a wooden sword, and a crown made of leaves. It was him. Lucian stopped. His heart pounded. The child smiled, then spoke in a voice that echoed like a lost wind. "You still don't know who you are, do you?" The boy disappeared. Seraphine stepped forward. "Lucian?" He nodded slowly. "This forest, it's showing me things. Things I don't remember. Or maybe things I tried to forget." Elira led them to a stone gate covered in vines. She whispered words in a forgotten tongue. The gate creaked open, revealing an old temple deep inside the forest. Its walls were cracked, but its heart still pulsed with light. "This is where your mother lived for many years," Elira said, "before she married your father, before the war began." Inside, carvings showed a powerful woman holding a glowing blade, the blade of memory. The carving looked like a younger version of Elira, but then Lucian saw something that made his hands shake. Another carving of his mother. She stood beside a golden tree, holding a baby in her arms. A silver star was drawn on the baby's chest, the same birthmark Lucian had hidden all his life. "She was a guardian of memory," Elira explained. "Your mother had a gift. She could see the past of others and also hide pieces of her own. She gave up that power to protect you, Lucian. She locked her memories in this temple, so Malric could never find them." Lucian's eyes filled with tears. "All my life I thought she left me," he said. "She never left," Elira said gently. "She gave everything to keep you safe." Suddenly, the temple shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Malric's dark magic had reached them. From the shadows stepped a tall figure with silver armor, but no face, only smoke. It carried a dark blade that hummed with sorrow. It was a memory phantom, sent by Malric to destroy whatever was left of Lucian's past. The warriors formed a circle around Lucian, but the phantom moved like wind. It struck fast. One soldier screamed and fell. Seraphine shouted, "Protect the king!" Lucian gripped his two swords, but it wasn't enough. The phantom fed on doubt and fear. Then Elira shouted, "The blade, Lucian! It's waiting for you!" He turned toward the golden tree carved on the wall. A real golden tree now stood there, glowing, calling. Lucian ran toward it, dodging the phantom's strikes. As he touched the tree, a blinding light exploded. The phantom screamed. In his hands now rested the third blade of light, the blade of memory. It felt familiar, as if it had always been part of him. Lucian turned, blade glowing white, and faced the phantom. "You will not take her memory," he said. With one clean strike, he destroyed the creature. It vanished into light, leaving behind only silence. Outside, the forest began to breathe again. The wind returned, the trees opened, sunlight broke through. Elira smiled through tears. "She would be proud of you." Lucian nodded, wiping his eyes. "I will protect her story. I will protect all of Ebonreach." But in the far distance, the sky darkened. Thunder rumbled. A new storm was coming. Malric had felt the awakening of the third blade, and he was ready to answer. The sky turned dark as Lucian and his warriors marched north, their boots sinking into wet ground. Heavy clouds rolled across the mountains, and thunder spoke in angry bursts. The path was cold now, both from the wind and from what lay ahead. In the distance, hidden between snow-covered cliffs, stood Heaven's Gate, a lost city, half forgotten by time, once a place of learning and power. Now it was a ghost town, silent but not empty. According to Elira, this was where Malric had been born. And this was where the fourth blade, the blade of soul, had been buried deep beneath the earth, sealed by ancient magic. Lucian walked at the front of his army, the 3 blades across his back. Each one pulsed with light, truth, sacrifice, and memory. But his heart was heavy. "Why here?" Seraphine asked, riding beside him. "Because it's where his story began," Lucian said. "And maybe where mine ends." As they approached the gate, a small group of monks in gray robes came out to greet them. They were the keepers of the cold flame, old protectors of Heaven's Gate. Their leader, a blind man named Thorn, stepped forward. "We have been waiting for you, King Lucian," he said softly. "You knew I would come?" "The stars told us, and the wind agreed." Thorn led them into the city. Stone towers rose into the fog. Snow covered every rooftop. It was peaceful, almost too quiet. They entered the central temple, where a giant crystal floated above a round table. It showed the world, mountains, rivers, cities, and a spreading darkness. Malric's empire was growing. "He is no longer just a king," Thorn said. "He has found the crown of the void. It gives him power beyond life and death. He wants to become a god." Everyone went silent. "Then we stop him," Lucian said, his voice calm but strong. Thorn nodded. "The blade of soul lies below this city. But be warned, young king. That blade is different. It only reveals itself to the one who has nothing left to lose." That night, Lucian couldn't sleep. He stood alone on a balcony, watching snow fall. He thought of his father, his mother, the palace that once stood in Ebonreach, the faces of the people who believed in him. He also thought of the fear in his heart. "Nothing left to lose," he whispered. "What more must I give?" The next morning, the ritual began. Thorn and the monks opened a sealed gate beneath the temple. Lucian walked down into darkness. It was a long tunnel, filled with voices, echoes from the past. He saw visions, his father's death, his people suffering, himself standing in flames, Malric's face, twisted, broken, once full of pain. Then he saw something new, a small boy, crying in the ruins of Heaven's Gate. That boy was Malric. Lucian stopped. His heart beat faster. Malric had not always been evil. Once he was a child like any other, but no one came for him. No one saved him. He was forgotten, left to rot in silence and snow. "I understand now," Lucian said quietly. "You became a monster because the world turned away." At that moment, the ground split open. A silver sword rose from the earth. It glowed not with fire or light, but with a soft blue, the color of sorrow, the blade of soul. Lucian touched it. A tear ran down his cheek, but his grip was strong. The fourth blade was his. Back above, Seraphine met him at the temple door. "What did you see?" she asked. "A part of him," Lucian said. "A part I never wanted to see." That night, Lucian stood before his army. "I now hold 4 of the 7 blades," he said, "but Malric will not wait. He marches toward the Black Valley. If he opens the gate to the void, everything ends." He looked into their eyes, men and women, tired but brave. "We will ride tonight. This is not just a war for land, it is a war for hope, for every child who never got a chance, for every voice that was silenced, for every soul still waiting in the dark." The wind blew strong. The army raised their swords. "For Ebonreach," they shouted. "For truth, for sacrifice, for memory, for soul." They rode into the night, toward war. And behind them, snow fell slowly, like stars dropping from the sky. The army stood still at the edge of the Black Valley, Below them, darkness spread like a living river, thick fog, broken stones, and the roar of magic gone mad. In the heart of the valley, a tower of black metal rose like a curse, Malric's fortress. Inside it, the final gate was opening, and beyond that gate, the void, a place without time, without life. Lucian sat on his horse, the 4 blades of light shining on his back. His eyes were steady, but inside, storms were rising. Beside him rode Seraphine, his most trusted friend. Elira stood with the monks behind them, whispering prayers to the wind. Lucian raised his sword. "This is it," he said. "If I fall, don't stop. Finish the fight." "No," Seraphine said firmly. "If you fall, we rise." And they charged. Thunder broke the sky. Magic and arrows flew through the air. The army of Ebenreek met the soldiers of the dark in a storm of steel and fire. Every sword was swung for a loved one lost, every step taken for a dream once crushed. Lucian cut through shadows like light through night. His blades sang with power, but then the earth shook. Malric had arrived. He floated above the tower, wearing a crown made of bones and starlight. His eyes glowed black, and his voice echoed across the land. "I offered peace," he shouted, "but the world wanted war, so let it burn." With one wave of his hand, the sky cracked. The gate to the void opened, pulling everything toward it, trees, stones, even screams. Lucian knew what he had to do. He climbed the tower, blade in hand, heart on fire. Malric waited at the top. The 2 kings faced each other, not as monsters and heroes, but as 2 broken boys who had lost too much. "You could have been my brother," Malric said. "You could have been our savior," Lucian replied. And the final battle began. Swords clashed, magic burst like storms. Memories flashed in their minds, of childhood, of pain, of mothers and kingdoms, of choices made and chances lost. Malric struck with rage, Lucian blocked with sorrow. Finally, Malric fell to his knees, bleeding, his crown cracked. "The world will forget me," he whispered, like it always did. Lucian stood over him, sword raised, but he didn't strike, he dropped his blade. "I won't become what I fight," Lucian said. "I will not let hate win." Malric looked up, confused, and then the void behind them roared louder, growing wild, hungry. Thorn's voice echoed from the temple. "The only way to close the gate is to offer a soul that holds the truth of all blades." Lucian understood. "I have to go," he said to Seraphine, who had just reached the tower, blood on her armor and tears in her eyes. "No," she cried. "Please, there has to be another way." Lucian smiled gently. "There is no other way, but there is always a choice, and I choose to protect." He turned to Malric. "I forgive you." Then he stepped into the light of the void, holding all 4 blades, whispering the names of everyone he loved. And with a final flash of light, the gate closed. The darkness ended. Silence fell. The war was over. Years passed. Ebenreach was rebuilt, stronger, kinder. Seraphine became queen. Elira became the keeper of history. And every year, on the same day, people lit lamps across the kingdom. Children were told stories of King Lucian, the last warrior king, not because he fought the hardest, but because he loved the deepest. The final lesson: power can build a kingdom, but only love can save it. Let your heart guide your sword, buddy. Lucian's journey ends here, but the light he lit will burn forever.